Across the Lake Chad Basin in Cameroon, Chad, Niger, and Nigeria, about 11 million people need humanitarian assistance. After nearly 13 years of violence, basic social services and already limited natural resources are severely strained. To this effect, 2 weeks ago, the first annual International Forum on Development of Lake Chad Basin, which seeks to rebuild and develop the Lake Chad region, held in Abuja. Also, we shall continue with our story on the federal government's intervention in Ogun State through the National Social Investment Program. This time, we shall bring to you interaction between our crew and the director of the school feeding program in the state. These and more in this episode of the program, Service to Humanity. I am Habiba Zokzok, urging you to please stay tuned for more on the program after the break.
It's key to helping young Nigerians acquire and develop.
The federal government of Nigeria remains committed to including and protecting persons with disabilities to guarantee that no one is left behind.
I see that we are going through challenging times, and I see this woman running all about the country trying to help our people, because this lady is doing a very good job for our country.
Thank you.
Thank you for all what you have been doing for us.
We begin with the Management Diary, where we bring you news from the ministry and her agencies. In the news, federal government prepares facilitators for nationwide training of cooks to enhance the school feeding program, and minister sympathizes with blast victims as she condemns illegal oil bunkering. Stay tuned for details.
The Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development has held an orientation for ministry facilitators for the upcoming nationwide training of cooks on the National Homegrown School Feeding Program.
We provide the aprons that will be sent out to the states, and that is what you're supposed to do.
The event, which took place on Thursday, 21st April 2022 in Abuja, had in attendance National Coordinator of the National Social Investment Program NSIP, Engineer Umar Bindir, the FCT focal person for school feeding, Chinwendu Amba, represented by Clementina Okoro and Flora Goka, a hospitality consultant from the Institute of Tourism Professionals Nigeria, ITEPN. The facilitators who are being prepared to train the cooks were trained on safe and hygienic work environment, food procurement, food standardization, financial literacy, and do's and don'ts of the school feeding program. In his remark, National Coordinator of the NSIP, Engineer Umar Bindir, stressed the importance of the training to the facilitators.
This training means that you will go and inculcate and pump up quality life into these rural women. You know, if you look at the manual very, very carefully, you will find that it has elements to do with safety, all listed there. You have hygiene, work environment. These women must understand how to be clean, how to go to toilet and come back and still be clean to cook food, how they should cut their nails, how they should brush their teeth, and so on and so forth.
Participants also speak on the training.
Training and retraining is very, very important, and it's also good. And apart from that, not all the schools at the beginning were enrolled on the school feeding program. So there are new schools that are coming on board, and these schools need to have cooks. So new cooks are engaged, and they also need to be oriented, they need to be trained.
The home school grown program is something that has to do with food and food handling. And so in that respect, it becomes necessary that short training is given concerning on how these food handlers, that's the cooks, and those who are working with the cooks will handle the food, so that we'll be sure that the food they are giving is safe, is hygienically prepared, and within themselves the process of getting the food, which is the food procurement, and the process of costing and calculation of their efforts in the production of these food services would also be appropriate. This training encompasses how to be hygienically okay in producing food on the table of the school children, especially to be free from germs and make sure that their environment is a clean one.
The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Hajia Sadia Umar Farouk, has condemned the recent explosions in Lagos and Imo states, which occurred about a week ago, and has termed them as incessant, terrible, and avoidable. First was the crash of a tanker carrying 45,000 litres of PMS, which spilled its contents across Lagos and Ogun states on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway on Thursday, followed by a deadly explosion at an illicit oil refining site in Abiezi Forest in the Ohaji Egbema local government area of Imo State on Friday night. Expressing her condolences to the government and people of Imo, Lagos and Ogun states, Farouk recommended prudence when driving inflammable chemicals on the road and declared the unlawful bunkering of petrol in particular regions to be suicidal. Meanwhile, rescue operations have begun to remove many remains that have been burnt beyond recognition at the blast site in Imo State. 6 automobiles were also destroyed during the incident.
You are watching Service to Humanity, a program that brings to you events and activities from the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development as it carries out its mandate. As we saw in the news, the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs is doing a lot to institutionalize the school feeding program. Many states have adopted models and modifications to the program to ensure that the implementation is efficient and delivers on its objectives. A couple of weeks back, we introduced you to the Kaduna Mothers for Accountability, adopted by Kaduna State to improve efficiency. In this episode, we shall be talking with the Ogun State Director of the National Homegrown School Feeding Program as she speaks about some of the initiatives adopted to improve the program in Ogun State. Let's hear her.
The Homegrown School Feeding Program took off in Ogun State in January 2017 with over 1,500 schools and 3,465 cooks. Ogun State has recorded great success in various aspects of the National Homegrown School Feeding Program.
The food is all right.
Mopelola Osholukoya, Director, Homegrown School Feeding Program for Ogun State, tells us more about schools, cooks and aggregators benefiting from the school feeding program in the state.
In the state, so far, the number of schools that are benefiting is 1,515 out of the 1,515 out of the 1,665 that we have in the state. Some schools were not enumerated when MBS came, and because they were not enumerated, they cannot benefit until Abuja approves new enumeration figures, which the governor had been magnanimous enough to have brought in MBS to recapture the pupils. We have engaged 3,465 cooks to serve in the schools. We have what we call aggregators. They help us with the protein components of the meals so that we can standardize the intake of nutritional values and nutrients given to our pupils. We have about 50 aggregators, and under them we have over 200 small scale farmers, because each aggregator has farmers that they buy things from and just mop up for supplies to our cooks.
Mokwelola also speaks about the cold chain partners, CCPs, who serves as the middlemen between protein aggregators for the school feeding program in the state.
We have what we call CCP, that's cold chain partners. They are the intermediaries between the cooks and the aggregators. For instance, if the beef aggregator finish with the packing and sorting of the beef, it supplies the cold chain partner in the community. It is from there the cooks will come and collect, and they can serve. It's not easy for the aggregator going to their houses, so it drops it at the CCP. We have 70 of them, minimum of 2 per local government, depending on the size of the local government. So the cooks go there and collect the proteins which they use in the schools to serve the pupils.
According to Mopelola, the Ogun State module of school feeding has attracted other states.
We have been doing well. In fact, Ogun State have done well to the extent that other states have come to learn from us. Kaduna was here before they started. Ekiti was here to learn from us before they started. And I think they are satisfied with our own method, and they have emulated it in their various states.
She also shares with us the process and structure of monitoring and evaluation of the school feeding program in Ogun State.
Already in the state, we have MIA system using the suburb structure. So all the local government education authority helps in monitoring. We have desk officers in each LGA in the state, and then the education secretaries are there to help us monitor. The work of the desk officer is to visit the schools in the local government every day. They go out to monitor. So it is from there we will know this school has not been doing well, the food brought is not good enough.
On the impact of the school feeding program, Mopelola has this to say.
Before the advent of this program, we have some parents. We all know that parents that take their children to public schools are the low economically, advantaged parents. Some of them don't even have money to give to their children for midday meals. So in a way, this midday meal has helped the parents not to bother too much about it. Even those that sell vegetables, we compel our cooks to buy from the local farmers in their various villages. They don't have to come to the town before they make purchases. Buy from the local farmers within your community. You can see how the farmers are benefiting from the program. Look at the CCPs. The cold chain partners, they are people who are interested in selling cold food, like turkey, like chicken, like whatever. Even if they don't sell, what we are giving them is a source of income to them. We power their generator because it's a condition. They must have generating sets. So we power it so that our beef doesn't go rotten. So us powering their generator will help them to freeze whatever they are selling. So you can see it's helping economically, and the amount of money, the huge amount of money coming through homegrown to the state. The economy of Ogun State is revolving.
Across the 6 geopolitical zones.
They should use this money for what it is meant for, efficiently, to take care of their family.
In 36 states and the FCT. Over 6.4 million of Nigerians poorest of the poor in about 1.3 million households receive conditional cash transfers of 5,000 naira monthly under the Household Upliftment Program of the federal government. Their joy knows no bound.
And the government is very well because they did well for us.
It helped me to do any other thing, my family.
Reducing absolute poverty, promoting shared prosperity through the Conditional Cash Transfer Initiative. The Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development in service to humanity.
Welcome back. The International Conference Center, Abuja, played host to the first annual International Forum on the Development of Lake Chad Basin. The hybrid inaugural session with the theme Lake Chad Basin, Climate Change, Security, Resilience and Development Recovery took place on the 11th and 12th of April 2022 and was jointly organized by the Nigerian government and the Lake Chad Basin Commission, LCBC, the governments of Cameroon, Chad and Niger. Because the situation in the Lake Chad Basin presents a myriad of humanitarian issues, the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs is a critical stakeholder. Let's recap the event as we see some of the issues that were discussed. Stay tuned.
According to the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, 4.1 million people are struggling with food insecurity, the highest figure in 4 years, and 300,000 children are severely malnourished. Over 1,000 schools are non-functional across the Lake Chad Basin as a result of attacks, depriving thousands of children of an education. 2.8 million are internally displaced, including 2 million in Nigeria alone, and 266,000 are refugees. Violence continues to spread, with 49 security incidents resulting in the death of 149 people in March alone. To adequately address the region's most pressing humanitarian needs and assist 7.4 million people, the first annual International Forum on Development of Lake Chad Basin held in Abuja. The event had the theme Lake Chad Basin, Climate Change, Security, Resilience and Development Recovery.
Nigeria is excited and honored to be the first.
The special guest of honor was Professor Yemi Oshibanjo, Vice President, Federal Republic of Nigeria. Other critical players who attended include Hajia Sadia Umar Farouk, Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, who was represented by Bashir Noura Al-Ghali, the immediate past Permanent Secretary of the Humanitarian Ministry. There were also high-level local and international actors and decision-makers from Cameroon, Chad, Niger and Nigeria, the Lake Chad Basin Commission (LCBC), the World Bank, governors and other stakeholders who met to discuss progress, harmonize strategies and find new solutions to the multi-dimensional, complex crisis of the Lake Chad Basin.
The insecurity in the Sahel region has spun up.
In his opening remark, Vice President Yemi Oshibanjo commended the Lake Chad Recovery and Development Project as well as the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development Hajia Sadia Umar Farouk, the Northeast Development Commission, the Lake Chad Basin Commission and other stakeholders for their commitment and contributions to the recovery of the Lake Chad region.
At the height of its glory, and we've heard this repeatedly today, the Lake Chad was one of Africa's largest natural deposits, covering 25,000 square kilometers. The lake, a freshwater lake, provided water for over 30 million people in the 4 countries surrounding the Sahel: Nigeria, Cameroon, Chad, and Niger. But its huge economic value included fishing, agricultural productivity, health, and of course security. Today, the Lake Chad has shrunk disastrously to barely 2,000 square kilometers, a case of the devastating impact of climate change on natural resources. Before I take my seat, I must commend the Honourable Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management and Social Development, Hajia Sadia Umar Farouk, and her team, the Lake Chad Basin Commission, the Northeast Development Commission, and the Lake Chad Region Recovery and Development Project for your commitment to the recovery and development of the Lake Chad Basin. It is now my very special privilege and pleasure to declare open the first annual International Forum on the Development of the Lake Chad Basin. Thank you very much.
In her address, The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Hajiya Sadia Umar Farouk, represented by the immediate past Permanent Secretary of the Ministry, stated that the goal of the inaugural forum is to capitalize on the gains and successes of the Nigerian Armed Forces and Multinational Joint Task Force and militaries from all LCB countries' military operations.
To avoid another humanitarian disaster, our intention is to develop strategic and operational solutions that address the challenges of climate change and conflict, support economic recovery, repair the social contract, and address the needs of women, youth, and the most vulnerable in the Lake Chad region.
Farouk further speaks on the objectives of the forum.
The objectives of this gathering, Your Excellency, are in line with the broader purpose of contributing to the post-conflict recovery efforts in the region. The purpose of PROLAC is to further amplify and strengthen social cohesion and reintegration, leading to stabilization, especially in the face of the near 40,000 persons who have surrendered.
Also speaking earlier in his welcome address, the Managing Director of the Northeast Development Commission, NEDC, Alhaji Mohammed Goni, stated that the area around the Lake Chad has been adversely affected by the climate change over the last several years.
Latest estimates show that the region hosts 2.5 million refugees and internally displaced persons, most of them children. This post-displacement crisis has added pressure on host communities around the region. Despite the Lake Chad potential of being a driver for development in West Africa, the Lake Chad area is being challenged by multiple and interrelated drivers of conflict and fragility. The Boko Haram insurgents alone has affected over 23 million people in the region.
There were also goodwill messages from some of the dignitaries.
The World Bank is here to support the government of Nigeria, and just as our teams in the other Lake Chad countries are there to support the governments there, equally eliminating poverty. The basic fact is that Nigeria cannot achieve that goal of raising 100 million Nigerians out of poverty, and we will not have succeeded in our global mission unless we all succeed in bringing a durable peace to the Lake Chad region and basically restoring not only basic services and livelihoods, but restoring economic opportunities and ultimately hope.
The need, therefore, to restore the region to its status as an important socio-economic area in the republics of Chad, Nigeria, Cameroon, and Niger cannot be overstated. That is why we are quite pleased with the theme of the conference, which is Lake Chad Basin, Climate Change, Security, Resilience, and Development Recovery, which is really quite timely and very apt.
A panel of discussants addressed questions related to the impacts of climate change in the Lake Chad region and the best resilience and adaptation measures for the peace and security challenges, local governance, and social cohesion. The forum initiated a constructive dialogue on insights and ideas for solutions to tackle these pressing issues. Also, a breakout session saw experts and representatives of governments, local governments, academia, international organizations, civil society, and people working on the ground with affected populations, working hard to find common solutions to the nagging issues of Lake Chad development. The annual International Forum on the Development of Lake Chad, which holds once a year, ended with the release of a final statement titled Abuja Declaration. Next year's forum is planned in Niamey, Republic of Niger, in 2023.
With that, we conclude this week's episode of Service to Humanity. Remember, questions, comments, and recommendations can be sent to the Ministry via any of the social media outlets, including Facebook and Twitter. You can also send text only to any of the numbers displayed on your screen, and we will do our utmost to route it to the appropriate authorities. In the meantime, have a great evening and see you next week.